Hey everyone, it's Imran again, and we're back here with another episode of Where Do We Go From Here? I'm really excited today to have Jove Meyer join us to talk to us a little bit about the wedding industry and events in general. So Jove is someone who's near and dear to my heart. He planned and helped execute my wedding, which was flawless, and I'm super grateful to him for that. So and before I hand it over to Jove to introduce himself, I have to read off this blurb of very impressive, like, kind of accolades that Jove has racked up over the years. So um, he was recently named as one of the top wedding planners in the world by Harper's Bazar. The Knot has called him a wedding wizard and has listed him as one of the top 100 wedding pros. And Us Weekly has named him a wedding guru, and Brides has listed him as the top planner in America. He's also won several awards, and I love this. He's been featured in magazines and blogs worldwide, ranging from Vogue, Martha Stewart, weddings, brides, you name it. So thank you so much, Joe, for joining me. I appreciate it.
You're so welcome, and thank you for making me blush.
Do you want to take a second to tell us a little bit about yourself and Jove Meyer Events before we jump into
Sure.
the questions I have?
Jove Meyer Events was founded 12 years ago, informally, kind of on accident. My best friend got married my first summer in New York, and she asked me to do her wedding, and I, of course, was honored to do that for her. My first job in high school was at a balloon and flower store, so I had done sort of events on a corporate level scale. I always made all of our family holiday decors. I was creative, I was naturally organized, so I guess she thought I was the perfect fit. I was originally on track to go to Harvard Law School. I fell into weddings and haven't looked since. It's been 12 years, over 200 weddings later, and I absolutely love it. And Jove Meyer Events is a boutique event planning and design company based in New York City, and we do eventing and design for those who dare to be different. We are powered by partnerships with fellow small businesses that are owner-driven and operated, and really run by women, people of color, and queer people. So our mission is to uplift those who haven't always been given the spotlight and to create beautiful events for clients that have never been seen before.
And that's amazing. You're like exactly what I want to emulate in my own business in terms of lifting up the people who have not had the same opportunities. So really, really great to hear that. And actually, you're someone who I'm really excited to specifically have this conversation with because, you know, with all the craziness that we've been going through, I'm sure there's been a huge impact on the wedding industry and for those who've been looking to get married. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, we have been impacted in the craziest of ways, and I think almost it's unimaginable. Personally, all of our weddings and events this entire year have been postponed or canceled. So in 2020, I have no work, which is the first time in 12 years that my company has no events on the calendar. Of course, it's not my fault. It's not our couple's fault. It's no one's fault. But we are in a very strange and somewhat scary situation because the wedding industry is a $105 billion industry, mostly built up of small businesses owned and operated by individuals, 2 or 3, 4 people. We are not a huge conglomerate. We are not the airline industry, the hotel industry. We don't have a union. We don't have standardization. We are made up of literally small companies such as myself with people who love what they do and do it for a living.
Mm-hmm.
So now that all of these bailouts have come for the big businesses, they've really left out much of the small businesses. And it's been quite scary and leaving a lot of these vendors vulnerable because there's not a lot of guidance for small businesses who don't have a lot of employees or small businesses who can't get the SBA loan, or small businesses, can they get unemployment if they technically have contracts in the works that they're getting a payment on, but they can't legally work. So it's kind of really a mess, to be perfectly honest, and we're all doing our very best to navigate our way through this, take care of our clients, put our clients first, but we also can't forget about ourselves, because if we don't take care of our own businesses and they go under, then our clients won't have anyone to sort of take care of their needs or their events or their design or their photography. An event is not just a venue. There's between 10 and 20 vendors that are involved in one event. And each of those is a small company with employees and bills and families to take care of. So it's this trickle-down effect that's really, it's really crazy. There's no other word that I can think about other than crazy at this time.
I'm really curious, like when all of this started becoming real, particularly in New York, how did you feel? Like you must have seen like this was, going to have a huge impact on you. I'm really curious to better understand what was going through your mind at that time.
Yeah, I'm an optimist by nature. I always see the positive. I always look for a solution. Like that's just how I'm wired and how I've wired myself over the years. So at first I just sort of thought like, we're going to get through this. There'll be an end date. We're going to all come together. We're going to solve it. We're going to stay inside and then life will slowly come back to normal. That was me being optimistic. And then I focus all of my energy on my client. So ultimately, now that I have almost rescheduled all of my events for 2020, it's only now that I have time to sit and look at my business, look at my finances, look at my life, look at what this means for me personally, for me professionally, because I spent the last few months literally focused 40 hours a week on my clients. Because to move one wedding is now, or a corporate event, is now I have to manage the 10 to 20 vendors that have that one date secured. We have to find a new date or range of dates, check all of everyone's schedule. I mean, it's like a million moving pieces and almost more work to reschedule than when we actually scheduled. So now it's really, it's hitting hard. Like I have a year of no work. And what does that mean for me? And I have to be honest, I feel really grateful. We had a fantastic year, of the best year ever of our company last year. I have been working like a crazy person for the last 12 years. There was one year that I did 52 weddings in 9 months. So, I think it's the universe has finally been like, you don't have to slow down, like you have to stop. Like I've been pretending to live a balanced life or live a more balanced life for the last year or so, but now it like come to a complete halt. And so we're figuring it out. I'm learning how to spend my time creatively and with myself and sort of dive back into the things that I loved doing before became my entire life.
Yeah, I mean, that I can just only imagine. That's scary and exciting all at the same time. You just hinted at this a little bit, and I'd really love to now talk a little bit about how that impact you said about small businesses, the employees of those businesses. What do you think are going to be some of the, you talked a little bit about the short-term impacts. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit more about what you think the short-term impact will be and the long-term impact will be on small businesses, the event industry, weddings in general, with having so many things be in flux and changing. I'm really curious to get your perspective on that.
Yeah, I mean, most of my best friends are wedding professionals that own their own business. And we work together and we've known each other for years. And I respect what they do in the businesses that they do. And all of us work in this industry, being passionate about what we do. But we also wanted to build a family and hire employees and treat them the right way. I know for me, when I previously worked in corporate America, I was not treated that way. I gave my whole heart and soul to a company that disregarded me without any conversation. And I remember distinctly feeling, I never want to feel that way again, and I never want to treat anyone that way. So I know for me, when this happened and I thought about the people on my team, what does that look like? Have families to feed. They need these jobs. And I know for a lot of my friends, one of my good friends is a florist, 10 full-time employees and 3 spaces. but she had no money coming in. I mean, when everyone postpones or cancels, she has no income, and salaries are the biggest part of the business expense. And I remember she did all the math and she said, I could run this company until May 1st. This is back, in early March, burn through savings and keep paying everyone. And that's what I think I want to do, because I really care about these people. Right. And we had to have a heart to heart and say, like, I understand your heart, but if you run through all your life savings to give to these employees of yours to May 1st, then your business won't be open in June or next year for them to have a career or a job for the rest of their life. So really, like, we've all had to reevaluate the short-term pain for the long-term growth and potential. And a lot of my friends, if not all of them, have furloughed all of their employees. I mean, it's been heartbreaking, but once you furlough an employee, they can get the unemployment, they can get the federal grant for COVID-19. And so they can make, not a small amount of money every month or every 2 weeks. But it's been devastating. It's been so hard to watch people let down other people or feel like they've let other people down. And I think a lot of businesses will change. I think these huge companies that had massive overhead and lots of expenses and were running on high monthly incomes and needed business in order to keep this big machine going, I think they're going to get smaller. And I think that people are going to sort of really start to think about what is important in my business and what am I building and why am I doing this? Why am I working 50, 80, 100, 200 weddings a year? Like, what is that doing for my soul? Like, for my life? Like, I think it's going to be a moment of introspection for business owners to really ask about their why. And, we're all, and especially in New York City, it's go, 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 work, 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 career, 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 build bigger, big, stronger, successful, more money, more income, more fame. Like, it's the cycle you're on in New York City. Without your choice, I think you can't help but sort of look at it and say, wow, doing these last 10 years, and what do I want to do in the next 10 years? And I think people are having that conversation with themselves, and it's not easy. And I think our industry will change, dramatically. And I think the face of events in the next at least 2 to 3 years is going to look different in New York City for sure, and other places than it has in the past.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because that's, the title of the series, right? Where do we go from here? I'm actually really curious to get, a future looking perspective from you on not only, the wedding event industry, but people who are also planning their weddings and what advice you might have for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think weddings will always happen. People will fall in love and want to celebrate that love with the people that are closest to them. It's such a happy, joyful experience. It's a momentous occasion in a life that most everyone looks forward to. So there's not a world where we're never going to have weddings, but I do think that the way we have weddings will change. It will shift. And I think a simple example in New York is you're not going to have a 200-person wedding in a small venue where everyone is elbow to elbow at like a popular New York City restaurant, where you almost, in a pre-COVID, you kind of like the energy. It was a little bit chaotic and frenetic, and you feel like you're so lucky to be here, and like, it's a cool feeling. But now people are going to want personal space, and so we're going to see venues that fit 200 people typically for a seated dinner and a wedding are going to be really looking at 100 people, to allow for space, to allow for wider tables and more distance between guests. We're definitely going to see new protocols in kitchens with caterers in the way that they prepare food and the way that they serve food. I'm not sure we're going to see buffets come back for a minute. I'm not sure family style dinners, which were on the rise. I don't think that those are going to be as popular because everyone is now so hyper aware of every single touch point. Who has touched this plate? Who has touched this food? Who's breathed on this food? Who's been in proximity to my food? And so people are going to be very sensitive. And as event professionals, we have to think forward to their needs and to their sensitivities, Because what we don't want is for our couples to plan a beautiful wedding that's perfectly them, and then for guests to not show up or to feel afraid to show up. So we need to instill confidence in everyone that we are doing everything humanly possible to make it safe, clean, happy, fun, and worry-free, so that you can focus on the joy and not, is this clean? Can I touch that? Can I do this? Like, am I safe at my own wedding? Like, we don't want to have that fear that, a wedding is not a fear-filled day. It's a joy-filled day. And so I think that there are going to be many things that we'll see, simple things from venue point of view. They're going to have touchless hand washing, touchless soap, touchless paper towels, electric doors, like things, anything that is a high touch point area at a venue, they're going to reconsider installing new mechanics that you don't have to touch. When it comes to like a cheese and charcuterie station, we're not going to have a mountain of cheese that everyone is touching. They're going to be pre-portioned, small pieces of cheese, and you touch it, you take it, you eat it, like that's it. And I think we have to do it in a graceful, elegant way so it doesn't feel like a hospital, it doesn't feel COVID-ish. And I think that that's going to be our next journey, is how to really reinvent a celebration that's all about intimacy, with a little more space, with a little bit of distance. And I think technology is going to play a huge role. I think photo booth companies or, technology companies are going to step in, and we are going to have, there are currently roaming photo booths that you can get that like roam around your party and you take pictures wherever you are. But I think those are going to turn into like Zoom meetings, and you're going to have grandma or grandpa or anyone who didn't feel safe to travel or anyone who's immunocompromised will literally be able to show up to the wedding on the screen, walk around the party, and they'll even dress up because you'll be able to see them. Couples will be able to send out beautiful boxes to those guests with a little bit of the flavor of the wedding. Maybe it's the same wine we're drinking. Maybe it's an appetizer. Maybe it's the dessert, to really make everyone feel included just in a different way than we've ever done before.
That's like amazing. Like the sheer depth and breadth of what you have to think about as a wedding and event professional in terms of the way people experience these moments is just mind-blowing to me. This is so crazy, and I'm so grateful that you shared some of your expertise and perspective and foresight into where this is going. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, it's my pleasure. I mean, I live and breathe and sleep events. That's what I do. It's all I think about for most of my day. And I think with what's going on now, we've had a lot of time to really sort of look back and reflect on what an event is about, but also what are these touch points? Like, how do you get into a space? How do you take your seat? How many things people touch in one day you don't realize? And so we really sort of take away all the thinking for guests. And even in like cutlery, will it be individually wrapped? Will it be in its own container? Like, where do I as a planner take away your worry as a guest so you can show up and celebrate and not be looking around, like using hand sanitizer every 3 seconds? Like, right. What can we do to make people feel comfortable? And there might be some visual changes, like a bartender might have to have like a plastic screen in front of the bar because that's a high trafficked area, and usually the bartender and you are very close, and you don't know them and they don't know you. They're having a wedding every weekend, they're really interacting with a large number of people, right? But if we're gonna have a plexi wall, how do I make it cute? How do I brand it? How do I put flowers on it? How do I put a name on it? How do I draw faces on it? You know what I mean? Like, how do I make these COVID safety measures and make them beautiful and make them interactive and not make them feel medical or stale or like, oh, COVID is so scary. Yeah, for sure. Like, and I take that seriously. But I think we also have to have a little bit of fun with it, and all the servers they'll wear masks. Maybe on those masks, my couples will want to have them custom made, and maybe they'll be sassy, maybe they're pretty, maybe they'll be whatever they want to be, and I think we have to turn it on its head and really find the joy in designing a COVID experience instead of the fear and doing everything out of this reaction of fear.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you guys see, for all of those of you tuning in out there, why I asked Jove to be a part of this experience, a part of this little experiment, because this is like smart thinking that like I wouldn't have sat around thinking about, and just to have know that there's someone out there trying to design events in a way that feels safe and feels inviting again, and recreate some of the magic of the events that we already experienced in our lives. Like, this is the guy who's going to do it, right? So
You
amazing.
are very kind. And we're all doing it. You know, like every vendor is having this conversation in
Right.
this sort of off time. Rental companies are wondering how they can make guests feel secure. Of course, they wash all the dishes, they sanitize
Sure.
all the dishes, of course. But you never thought about that before. You sat at your plate, there it was, you presumed it was clean, you never even
Right.
thought about it. But now it's all you're going to think about. You're going to sit down, you're going to look at your cup, you're going to look at your plate, you're going to look at cutlery, and it's going to give you potentially anxiety. So how, in talking with my rental companies that I work with, how do we alleviate that? Do we have to wrap every single piece of cutlery? Do we have to cover all the glassware? Like, do
Right.
they need to see it coming out of the plastic? Like, what is it going to take to make people feel comfortable? And for that, you just have to look at yourself and your own anxieties. Like,
Right.
when I go somewhere, like, what do I touch? What do I not touch? How do I feel about it? So, and deliveries, every delivery that comes in, the delivery person can't come in the venue. They have to leave they can't come in. We have to clean it. We have to unwrap it. We have to, minimize the risks while also still running a beautiful event for our couples. So there's a million things to think about, but luckily we are all having these conversations, all the vendors on the back end.
Right.
We've moved our weddings, and now we're thinking, what's next? How do we make this amazing? And how do we problem solve for something that's never happened in our lifetime?
Great. Well, I want to thank you again for giving so generously of your time. As always, all
My
of
pleasure.
Jove's links and social media, etc., are all linked below. And you don't know this, but today is my birthday, so this is perfect to have
Oh, happy birthday!
you be the person that I highlight on my birthday. So I really, really appreciate it again. And until we talk again, maybe in a year, I might sneak back and see if some of these things come to pass. We might have another check-in or so.
I would love that. I would love to sort of catch up then, and I hope to be in touch before then as well.
Of course. Thanks again, Joe. Bye.
You're welcome. See ya.